Preseason football has begun. The Thursday Nighters. We've got some takeaways from what we saw on the field, some big injury news to talk about, good and bad news. Anthony Richardson, Rashawn Slater, and a whole lot more. Sleeper alert coming up on today's Peacock and Williamson.
NFL analyst Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson bring you expert NFL analysis every day in less than 30 minutes. Get an inside look at the NFL on the field and in the front office with elite breakdowns to next-level analysis and in-depth information only for the real NFL fans. This is Peacock and Williamson, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Peacock and Williamson NFL Show. Brian Peacock alongside Matt Williamson, as always, at BD Peacock, at Williamson NFL. Thanks so much, everybody, for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks to our core audience, those everydayers hanging with us throughout the offseason. We now have some semi-real actual football to discuss on today's episode. 3 games worth of preseason week number 1. Saw some starters out there. Saw some stars out there. And some injuries as well, which is bad news, but some good news on the injury front for some teams around the NFL. Let's start, I think, with Anthony Richardson and the Indianapolis Colts. The exact thing that couldn't happen for Anthony Richardson is going down with an injury early in this season and derailing any momentum he was going to have going into the year. And he started the game, 4 snaps worth, and that was about it. 2 of 3 passing before going down with an injury. But the good news here, Matt, on that front is that imaging came back clean, and it's pretty much the best news possible for someone who leaves a preseason game early. X-rays have come back clean, and according to Jordan Schultz, finger injury, so he will be back on the practice field in the coming days. It's not a week's injury, it's a day's injury, and hopefully maybe even be back for preseason week number 2. So that's really big update for Anthony Richardson, but he missed an opportunity to put a lot on film here in preseason week number 1. There's only 2 more preseason games.
I was just about to say this guy can't catch a break, but I guess that kind of is a break. You know, I mean, it's a dislocated pinky on his throwing hand. So I'm sure it'll be very uncomfortable and it'll be an issue for, maybe another week or whatever, but it definitely won't influence his ball carrying all that much. I mean, but accuracy and throwing from the pocket is what we're looking for here. I just want the guy to stay on the field. Like, I'm rooting for him just because I think his upside is so immense, but he can never string together games, at every level. And I think it's nuts. I don't know if you saw the play, but I think it was a slot corner or a safety, just came totally free. I think that a rookie running back just went the wrong direction, totally let him go.
I have to imagine that part of that guy, that running back's job was to slow down a free blitzer, and he just runs right by him like it was just a stranger on the sidewalk.
And that's actually a big talking point. Like, I always bring it back to the Steelers, but it's true for all these running backs in this, running back heavy draft. That I think a theme. Side note, we talked about this in the draft. Almost all the receivers in this draft class don't block in the run game. Hardly any of the running backs block in the pass game that are coming into the league, unless you're from Ohio State, Ibuka and Henderson, and they win the national title. And I think a lot of it's just NIL, and I don't have to do that. I'll just transfer, that kind of thing. I wonder if that's a trend going forward. But, that's a huge thing I've been talking about all week with, man, I'm so psyched to see Caleb Johnson as a Steeler. I'm like, well, he was pretty bad in pass protection drills during the week in Latrobe, and Iowa never threw the ball. So it's a big fantasy note. If these running backs aren't going to be on the field for a while, it's almost always because of fumbling or more often protection. You have to be able to trust it, especially when it's Mahomes and Allen, let alone, it doesn't even matter who your quarterback is. You can't be run the wrong way and just let free blitzers blast your quarterback. I don't care if you're Genty or the best running back in the class,
And I feel for, a running back, especially if you're a young running back. And to be honest with you, I saw the play, and I don't even know who the running back was. It was someone.
I think it was probably Giddens, the rookie, but I don't want to blame him if it wasn't.
Yeah, and they're running with the early unit, right? Because that was the first unit that was out there on the field.
Right. You don't want Jonathan Taylor out there, right?
So, and it's tough because you're also going to get reamed on the sideline if you don't get your head around quick enough for that throw from the quarterback when you're running that fly route, right? So I get it for young players, your head's spinning, but protect the quarterback first.
Absolutely. And it just, you can't put guys on the field if you can't trust them to pick up the right dude or have the technique or toughness to stand in and at least get in the way, Bummer, but I guess it could have been worse.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about that game momentarily, but I want to get some of the other NFL injury news out of the way because not good news for Rashawn Slater. I mean,
I know.
This is why
NFL
players hold out, don't want to practice until they get that contract done, right? Like this is the poster child for it. And there's probably some other players around the NFL that saw this and are like, you know what? I should probably not be practicing if I'm in that hold-in area of my career where I need to get that new deal because Rashawn Slater looked like, which are usually the worst ones, is the kind of non-contact injury. It was a pass rush drill at training camp.
I know.
Out of his stance and he goes. It was kind of semi-contact, but not really. He just signed that 4-year, $113 million extension last 2 weeks ago, I think it was, and but carted off the field, and it looks like it was a season-ending ruptured patella tendon injury for Rashawn Slater, who's had injury problems in his career. It's really the one thing that's held him back from being like a marquee name as a left tackle in the NFL. Just signed a new deal. Patella tendon's a tough injury. Some guys don't ever come back from that and play the same. It's the reason that Josh Simmons fell in the NFL draft all the way to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now he's playing, so it's not the return timeline that's the tough thing with this injury from what I remember. And this is from my research with Josh Simmons because I liked him so much in the draft and I was like, man,
I love him.
Top 10 guy. But this injury, it's not so much will he come back and play, it's will he be the same when he gets back.
So I guess the good news is, I'm glad you brought up Simmons because all the reports in camp is he's been phenomenal for the Chiefs. So maybe modern medicine's making this a little easier, and Simmons is a freak athlete. Yeah,
younger ligaments, maybe.
Right. And Simmons is a total freak. Maybe he recovers better than most people. But it's funny. I always see, Slater to me was an underrated player and was a top 5 type left tackle and did get kind of the recognition this last week or two with the contract. I think it shocked some common fans that aren't on top of the Chargers or left tackle play in general because he's phenomenal. And even though he's a little on the small side, and I'm glad you brought this up too, because I'm just trained to think as a front office, as opposed to the human beings. But good for him. He signed this thing before the injury. I mean, imagine if this was still looming and the injury happened. And so for the human being, I'm happy for him, although I'm sure he's really distraught. But at least it's super early in the season. Maybe he's back in next camp. But, man, they were really counting on him. You can't find tackles nowadays. I mean, the foundation of that team other than Herbert is Alton Slater, and that's a very Harbaugh thing to be. One other nugget about this one. Oh, it really reminds me. I don't know if you remember when Ronnie Stanley did this. It was like week 3 or 4, and he signs a huge contract with the Ravens, like one of the highest paid left tackles, and just destroys his ankle the next week against the Steelers. Like as a front office, this has to be so heartbreaking because you finally get the deal done. You put everything in, all the chips in on this stud player, and then he might not be the same, and you definitely don't get him for the year,
Yeah. And teams do have insurance on these types of things, but it still doesn't help you with the salary cap either.
Doesn't help you block George Karlaftis.
And it doesn't, it doesn't
Max Crosby. Yeah.
Franchise quarterback stay clean.
Right.
And I should have had this up. I'm blanking on who the replacement left tackle will be for the Chargers.
I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, now I think through.
How many replacement tackles can you name off the top of your head for all 32 teams?
It's not going to be good. I mean, I'm totally just whipping this off the top of my head, but I guess Alt could go back to left.
Yeah.
And Mekhi Becton could go to right.
Oh, right, because he was playing guard and kind of resurrected his career
guard.
Yeah, and was a lot better. Yeah.
You might get worse at 3 spots, though.
And that's true. Yeah. So instead of making 1 spot, you get worse at 3 spots. Do you want to do that or just help out the left tackle, whoever that is, and hope for the best? I wonder what their long-term plan was with Alt to potentially be the left tackle. And this might accelerate things because we talked about it when the Slater deal was signed, that they have a perfect plan of not overlapping those two contracts, because once after following the 5th year option for Alt, it would be the end of the contract for Slater, and then you wouldn't be paying big money to 2 franchise tackles at the same time, and then presumably maybe Alt could go to the left side unless he's just super comfortable on the right side.
I would think you just leave him there like Penei Sewell.
Yeah.
He's gonna be entrenched if you give Slater that big a contract,
at least for this year. And then if it's like, man, okay, we don't know where this is going to go, then maybe you have to make some other plans and move him over to the left side eventually.
Definitely one of the worst people the Chargers could lose, though.
It's tough. And yeah, every player is one play away. It's a good reminder of that. Another quick injury note, 49ers first-round pick Michael Williams went down with an injury in a joint practice with the Denver Broncos before their preseason game this weekend. Fairly good news there. It looks like a hyperextended knee, and the imaging came back fairly clean on that one. So that is a shorter-term injury, but he won't. Niners fans will be able to get to see their first-round pick in the preseason games, at least this week, and maybe not next week either.
You just don't want these rookies to miss this time of year.
Yeah, it's so important for all the young players. Anthony Richardson, like this is the most important time for him, and you got to be able to. And so it's funny because it's like, oh, great news. He dislocated a finger on his throwing hand, and that's great news, right?
That's the good news, right? It's not shattered or out for a long stretch.
Yeah,
and then also part of that game, their 2nd and 3rd round pick left the game. And Wally, the 3rd round pick corner, is out for the year too. So the draft class is getting hit hard in Indy. Although Warren played really well in that game.
Yeah, speaking of first round picks, Warren did play well. Let's get a little bit more into that Colts Ravens game. We'll talk Raiders, Seahawks, and Bengals, Eagles as well. Yeah, there are some takeaways for these preseason games, including maybe a big time sleeper developing for the Seattle Seahawks at wide receiver next. This episode of Peacock and Williamson brought to you by Monarch Money. Do you ever wish managing your money felt easier? Well, with Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings, planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. And man, surprised is an understatement. If you ever have really tracked your spending like Monarch Money can, that you'll be surprised how fast all of that spending adds up. And I think one of the best things that you can do with Monarch Money is utilize it for shared accounts. If you're managing accounts with your partner, it's so important and really can make it stress-free because everything's out there for you and you kind of know what's going on with all of your accounts, personal and shared. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. Okay, let's get into that Colts game. The players that did come through this unscathed. I mean, it is rough when you are losing not only your QB1 or QB1A
essentially
of the game for you, then you lose your 2nd and 3rd round pick. You mentioned it. Wally, the third round cornerback, Justin Wally for the Colts, tears his ACL. So his rookie season is done in the preseason opener. And then JT Tuimoloau, 2nd round defensive end, left the game with a knee injury. They're still waiting for imaging to find out exactly what's going on there as of Friday morning of us recording this podcast. So hopefully that means it's good news that it's not immediately obvious like it was with Wally, that it's some major catastrophic injury and it's the ACL and you're done. So hopefully they get good news there. But Colts drop it like flies, man.
Yeah, defensive coordinator change. You're getting guys to fit the new system, and now that's up in the air. Premium 2nd-day picks. But I do think it was noteworthy that Warren looked the part, and just if we're going to focus on that draft class. And say what you want about the Colts, they have a lot of weapons. I mean, with Taylor, Warren, that group is that stable receivers. I expect Pittman to be better. I'm a big Josh Downs fan. I think that's one of the strengths of that team.
So Daniel Jones and maybe Riley Leonard got a little bit more work than maybe expected. They threw 21 and 24 passes respectively, and Riley Leonard's 3.8 yard per attempt average kind of tells the story there. 1 interception, no touchdowns, but the big story obviously is the guy who was QB 1B, and Daniel Jones there. It wasn't like he was like, okay, I got, other guy got hurt and I'm just going to never give up this job now. It's going to be obvious that I should be the starter. Didn't see that necessarily. 10 of 21, 144 yards. Wasn't great. Wasn't bad. It was Daniel Jones.
So we talked about this earlier in the week. I don't know what the Colts plan is like for preseason game 2. Is that going to be Jones's start no matter what? I would think with this finger, you start Jones and maybe just hold Richardson out no matter what, even, and then he could start or whatever.
Yeah, make it the Jones game. Okay, Jones, you get the whole first half. And then Anthony Richardson, week 3, you get the whole first half. Let's see what you got to win this.
And we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
And all ties go to Richardson.
Looking at the other side, I don't know if you have any more takes on the Indianapolis Colts, but how about Keaton Mitchell?
Oh, man. I mean, dynamic player. Couldn't be any different than Derrick Henry. Return skills. This is a great forum for a guy like that. But, man, he is dynamic. He's low to the ground. He's harder to tackle or harder to bring down than you think. Weapon for what might be the best team in the league. I mean, they list him as him on Justice Hill.
Yeah, depth at running back is so important. Catch the ball out of the backfield, Keaton Mitchell, and he's already put a lot of good tape out there early in his career, but it looks just dynamic and great change of pace. We were talking about with Derrick Henry, and of course Justice Hill's a really good third down style of pass catching back as well. Keaton Mitchell, Ravens running back, 9 carries for 68 yards and a tutty, had a 23-yarder in that game.
Couple decent returns too. Yeah. Just get the ball in his hands.
Yesterday we talked about Zach Taylor and the Cincinnati Bengals and how they wanted to start faster this year and maybe play more of their starters in the preseason to make that happen. And we saw that dynamic duo of Burrow to Jamar Chase on display preseason week number 1. Fun. You love being able to tune into this preseason games and seeing those guys out there.
Yeah, I think it's a smart move. And I'm rough on Taylor about this, and the record, I think they're like 1-9 in their first 2 or 3 games under Taylor, something pretty poor. Higgins was out there. You got a target or 2, didn't do much. Chase looked awesome. They a little out, made a guy miss, took it to the house. This looks like exactly like last year. Burrow played a substantial amount. And I do think it's worth defending Taylor a little bit. Burrow's had a lot of things in the preseason over his career. I think he had like an appendectomy the one time, so he's had a handful of the pandemic, and he had a calf injury. I'm looking at it here too. So he's had some issues to keep him off the field this time of year, but I think it's a smart move to at least get these guys some reps. And maybe that's the reason you started so slow. I mean, I think that's pretty logical.
Yeah, absolutely logical. And so I like it so far. I wonder if you're Zach Taylor and the early game happens and you see the quarterback get hurt after 4 plays, and you're like, you know what? Should we rethink this? Are we going to actually put Joe Burrow out there? That's the plan. You got to do it. Not nearly perfect. 9 of 10, couple touchdowns. You mentioned the Jamar Chase, looking like Jamar Chase. So all good things there. On the other side, Tanner McKee putting on a show, 20 of 25 passing for the Eagles, 252 yards and a couple touchdowns. That's a big-time stat line for the preseason.
Eagles people love this guy. And I think there is somewhat of a competition, or at least there was, between Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who they traded for in the Pickett deal, and McKee for the number 2. But I think McKee is clearly the 2. And I don't think he's one of these, like, Scott Mitchell as Dan Marino's backups that someone's going to trade for and try to be a starter. But he couldn't be any more different than Hurts. But he's a quality player every time he's out there, and was really good last night.
I don't know, a well-run organization, a well-coached organization, a quarterback that was well-liked pre-draft, was drafted fairly high, a day 2 pick, right? And so, Tanner McKee, he might have some value out there.
Yeah. I mean, he's not a throwaway. Don't just think of him as a nothing type dude, And maybe he could right the shit, or if Hurts were to go down, maybe the Eagles would be okay for a bit, Yeah,
absolutely. Next, let's talk Raiders, Seahawks, and a sleeper wide receiver, a rookie that is developing for Seattle that should maybe even be on your fantasy football radar in Tory Horton and Ashton Genty. Not on display so much in preseason.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that next. This episode of Peacock and Williamson presented by 5-Hour Energy. And how about a 5-Hour Energy transfusion? It's time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, the transfusion, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making some memories with your buddies, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. And let's be honest, some days on the course or off it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and stay energized. I do need it on the golf course, and I definitely need it off the golf course as well. I have been trying to walk the golf course as much as possible. I know we have some this is an international program, man. I know there's some golf in other countries that, yeah, of course, like in the UK, they always walk the course, right? It's a natural thing. And in America, you're looked at sideways if you're like, oh, I'm not going to ride in a cart. I'm actually going to walk the course today. People are like, really? 18 holes? You're going to walk it? I'm like, yeah, I got to get my steps in. So having that energy shot can be really important. And all you got to do to get your energy up and stay sharp and stay focused throughout your day or your round of golf, go to 5hourenergy.com. That is the number 5hourenergy.com. Use our promo code LOCKEDONGolf to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th. On one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavored 5-Hour Energy shots today. Two big takeaways from the late game Thursday, which was the Seattle Seahawks and the Las Vegas Raiders. You're talking about first-round picks on display. Not quite so much for Ashton Jeanty and the Raiders. He had -1 yard on 3 carries on the day, so we didn't really get to see that breakout performance and be like, okay, yeah, there's that first-round guy. Obviously, it's like, hey, bust alert. No, nothing like that. But you want to see more, and they weren't out there for very long. He didn't get very many touches. But on the other side, Tory Horton, he's been making waves in camp. I keep seeing reports about Tory Horton being awesome with the Seattle Seahawks as a rookie, showing out, proving he belongs in the NFL, but maybe even more because there's an opportunity for guys there with DK Metcalf gone for that deep threat type of wide receiver in the Seattle Seahawks offense, man.
Yeah, and the Raiders, to their credit, put their stars out there. Max Crosby played a little, Geno, Jeanty. I mean, all those dudes were out there. Just want to touch on this. Seattle sat almost all their top defensive players, but they still did really well, although it's small sample size against Geno and Jeanty and those guys. That Seattle D could be a top 5 unit for sure. I mean, especially when you get the big dogs out there, Leonard Williams and Murphy, and keep an eye on that D. I think it could be really, really good. But I think Horton is extremely interesting. And I thought he was like a 2nd or 3rd round pick just based off of tape. He's explosive. He's kind of long and linear. He's not super rocked up, but he is a stretch the field guy, but he can break off routes and beat you without routes and things like that too. And there's absolutely opportunity there. The only reason he slipped is because there was some medical stuff, coming out of Colorado State. And I thought when they got him in the 5th round, I think it's like, man, maybe it takes a year, but that's going to pay off huge because there's nothing in front of them that is even similar. Like JSN's a nice player, but they need a compliment, and I think Kupp might be done.
Yeah, and completely different than both Njigba and Kupp.
Yeah.
Tory Horton, and they need that style of wide receiver. And and when you look at what the Seattle Seahawks have out there, and I don't think the Marquez Valdez-Scantlings of the world is he's kind of become the I don't know.
He's kind of is what he is.
He's like
field dropped the ball a lot.
The stopgap X receiver. Like stopgap quarterbacks. He's like a stopgap. He's like, well, we need a guy that can do this, and we know he can in the NFL, but we're going to actually draft the other guy that we really want to be the one that takes over the job.
I think you're familiar with Matt Harmon, who does incredible wide receiver work.
Yes, absolutely.
I bring him up because he was super high on Horton and had him as he's not going to analyze the medicals and stuff, but just the tape. He was super high on him. But he's got a phrase for those Valdez-Scantling guys as the sacrificial X. He just takes the top off and runs wind sprints over and over, and once in a while will throw you the ball. But just sacrifice your cardio and make room for everybody else.
Yeah, if it's the right look, maybe you'll get the football, but really you're just opening things up underneath, and they have to treat you with respect and have somebody back there, and it opens up what we're actually really trying to do. Yeah,
he's like the poster boy of the sacrificial X. Just run routes and clear things out, and we're not going to throw you the ball, and you're going to drop it if we do. And you'll have
he absolutely is.
Yeah.
Tory Horton, 5th round pick, number 166 overall for the Seahawks, out of Colorado State, 6'2", 196 pounds, 3 catches for 31 yards, and a tutty.
Keep an eye on him. There's not much in front of him. Yeah, I think he could definitely be an impact guy.
Huge opportunity for Tory Horton. Good player. And what are your thoughts on overtime football? 23-23 tie for the Seahawks and Raiders. Should they go to overtime the preseason, Matt? See more Tory Horton?
Did they or didn't they? Did they not?
No.
Okay, they just ended. Okay, I was trying to think. I did not tune into the very end. I think that's the way to go. I'm sure coaches are like, no. Right.
Matt, what's on tap for you this weekend? We got Steelers, we got 49ers, we got a whole bunch of full slate of preseason games aside from those 3 that have already been played.
So my Steeler life, I'm very excited to actually watch them play against somebody else. I've watched every minute of every training camp practice, and it's time to play against somebody else. They're going to sit their top like 12 guys, Ramsey, Slay, Rodgers, Hayward, Watt, et cetera, et cetera. And there's some news about Hayward making some fuss about his contract. Him and Boswell, just the last 24 hours, Schefter said that they're kind of behind the scenes disgruntled with their contract. But anyway, this is my crazy life, though. I mean, they kick off at 7 Eastern in Jacksonville, and the pregame show is from 5 to 7. But I host the pregame show from 3 to 5 because Steeler fans are lunatics. So I'm on from 3 to 5 in the station. And then I call in and do 2 segments during the pregame show at like around 6-ish. I'll watch the game at the station. And then I host the post-game show, which is like 11 to 1 in the morning with every drunk fan on the planet calling in. Like Will Howard is the guy. Every call would be about Will Howard. He's the next Brock Purdy. He's the next Tom Brady. But much like Richardson, he broke a finger on his throwing hand and is not going to play. So I was hoping to see him. That's what I was looking forward to most.
Yeah.
But the calls after the game is what I was looking for least, because that guy like walks on water around here.
Oh, the late round
6th-round pick, right?
Heroes, the undrafted running back that's playing against scrubs that rips off the preseason runs, and everyone loves them, and people are flabbergasted when they get cut.
After too many beers or watching the first Steeler game at midnight, they'll be calling in.
Yeah.
It's one of my least favorite responsibilities over the course of the year, the post-game show in preseason.
As a former radio guy, my first job in radio was screening calls, and there's nothing better than late night radio after a game. For me, it was San Francisco radio, KMBR, and it was post San Francisco Giants baseball games. So it was every night, and you get some, some well lubricated fans in a lot of cases, the same nuts that call every night, and you get some wild calls and screening those calls. And so I'm hearing.
I mean, I'll get a fire Tomlin call if they lose.
Oh, for sure.
Because they lost to the Jags in preseason 1. Right.
And imagine I'm screening calls, and the ones that get on the air are insane enough. And I've got to screen away guys that are even crazier than that are calling in.
Oh, I know. I don't envy my man Justin that has to do that. Yeah.
So that's always a fun. And sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, who are these people that are just out of their minds right now?
And you're pretty tired. I'm going to be there from 3 until like 1 or 2 in the morning at the station. Like, at least they'll get us pizza. But man.
I mean, pre and post, that's rough. You got to have different food for pre and post to be a little bit more fresh. But
I only do post for the preseason, and like next week is a home game. I'll do it from Acrisure Stadium. But then you're like walking your car 1:30 in the morning in downtown Pittsburgh. Like, this isn't great,
All right. Well, I'm actually going to be on a flight Saturday. So
yeah, you're gone next week, right, brother?
I'll be gone next week. So we're gonna have some fill-in hosts with Matt Williamson, and I am going to watch some preseason football on a plane, going to the mountains of Idaho. And
sounds awesome.
We're not roughing it or anything, but I think I'll have some solid internet, but I'm not going to be doing any podcasts from.
No, you shouldn't.
Yeah,
awesome
break.
Well, enjoy yourself.
Matt will be back Monday. I will be back next Friday. Make sure you're all subbed up. Back then, talk to you then. Have a great weekend, everybody. Be safe out there. in your walks to the car post game. Talk to you then right here, Peacock and Williamson.